It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and EJ Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. EJ Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
Hi, Faye. That was me. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Start Spreading the News Yankees program. It is Monday, August the 25th, 2025. EJ is right here waiting in the wings. Now, here's the thing. EJ's monitor that he usually looks at is not there in front of him. So he will not necessarily be able to see me when I'm talking. He could see me off to the side, but it would be awfully awkward if EJ was looking this way the entire time. So EJ, before I put you on, I just want you to know that it is right there in front of you. Even though you can't see me, I'm right there in front of you. Just a quick reminder, everybody, that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia is an outstanding publisher who is a publisher of a variety of books in a multitude of genres, a plethora of award-winning authors. And among those books, of course, are some of the great books of all time, the least among them, From Compton to the Bronx, 365.2, and Scattering the Ashes. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes or the other books, your life is incomplete. Make sure you go to apbooks.net to pick up those books. Buy one for yourself and buy at least 2 or 3 for each of your closest friends. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to welcome EJ Fagan. Hi, EJ.
Paul, how you doing?
Good. I'm right here in front of you.
Thank you so much. Great joke. I sent you a link in the private chat of StreamYard, and I would love it while we begin talking here if you can try to pull it up, because it is wonderful. Paul, doing great. It's the beginning of the academic year, so my first class is tomorrow. Daycare opened back up today. I feel great. The Yankees are about to win a ball game, so I'm feeling all right right now.
Right now it's the Yankees 7, Washington nothing. EJ, I'm not on Blue Sky, so it says I need sign in.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can here. Why don't I share my screen and we can play it right here.
All right.
So this is one of the best sports interviews I've ever seen in my life. And we're going to watch it together. So let's go right there. All right. Do you see it?
Yes. I'll
the
bring
question
it up.
Is, do we have sound?
We should. If you click
all right.
play, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. So.
Thank you very much. Tyler, you threw 32 pitches yesterday. When did you know you were going in tonight?
When they call down.
And you were ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. They call down, I'm pissed off. I'm ready to go.
Why do you get so pissed off?
I don't like hitters.
How did you get through that 9th?
Throw the ball over the plate.
How long does it take you to cool down after a win?
I never cool down.
And the slapping, what was the level of slapping when you came on?
Pretty hard. My face is hot. Yeah.
How important was it for your team to get this win today?
It's big. I mean, everyone.
So there you go. One of the great sports interviews of all time. Why are you angry? Because I don't like hitters. Just fantastic. So, athletes and giving interviews never cease to amaze me. And this was one of my favorites.
Well, 99.9% of the time, the interviews that athletes give are mundane, boring. Has Aaron Judge, except when he said last week that Aaron Boone didn't see him throw for 2 weeks, has he ever said anything interesting?
No. And neither did Derek Jeter.
I was just going to bring that up.
Right. I mean,
Derek Jeter ever say anything interesting?
I mean, I've seen like some former players kind of comment about this, and like they don't see talking to the media as an important part of their job, something they have to do. And so they do it, and they rehearse canned lines, and they give the reporters as little as possible. They also, in their defense, get a lot of dumb questions. They do a lot of interviews. I mean, they interview as much as, most public figures. And so I do have some sympathy right there. But when you finally get a player that can actually like say something, is actually willing to emote a little bit or give you a little bit of insight, that's really special. And then the exact opposite side of the spectrum, when you get what we just saw, it's also something very special. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, Clint Frazier, we talked a little about this the other day. He's got a podcast. It's a little awkward. Doesn't quite have this whole idea down, but he does keep saying interesting things about the Yankees. Now, he played on a number of different teams, and of course, he went through the minor leagues. And he said with the Yankees, he said the other day that you didn't even know if you were playing the night before. You wouldn't even know until you got to the ballpark. And sometimes if you got to the ballpark early, you still wouldn't know. And listen, we could take Clint Frazier with a grain of salt, or say, well, he's another failed Yankee, but we had that minor leaguer a couple of years ago or last year. And you keep hearing things like this that just talk to an overall dysfunction. And it is nice, and I don't even know if we need to get into that, but it is nice when you hear people supposedly telling you the truth instead of just parroting talking points.
Yeah, I mean, there's freedom in being out of the game, right? I'll be honest, Frazier specifically, I just don't trust very much. One, he was a failed player, right? It's not like he went somewhere else and was good. And the Yankees gave him chances, and he just wasn't very good. Like he just lost them, right? He had there was like a concussion that was a problem. And I remember when Frazier was up for like a week. I forget what it was. He wasn't up for very long. This was before he had that really good like half season at one point. He like basically started like talking about shoes a lot, like trying to and to me, I remember getting the vibe from him being like, I don't know, man, like this guy seems like he's enjoying the fame a little too much. And for example, like Jazz Chisholm has been up long enough that he can wear the crazy shoes, and it's like, okay, it's Jazz. Clint Frazier was up for like a week. And to me, like it is not shocking to me that he has a podcast about the team that doesn't want to be associated with him anymore. So I do think that there might be something to these reports, especially some of the less famous players who aren't trying to become podcasters. But Frazier specifically, his second episode was titled like what Clint Frazier thinks the Yankees need to do to win the World Series. I was like, what does Clint Frazier know about winning the World Series? Like that doesn't
right. He hasn't won the World Series.
He wasn't even like competitive on a team. It's not like this Mookie Betts telling me how to win a World Series. I'll listen then. So like I think you're going to keep seeing Frazier kind of maybe repeat talking points that are out there because he knows it's a good way to get attention. And I think we should listen to a lot of the former players to talk about this stuff, but Frazier specifically, I'm kind of out on.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that it's interesting when you hear.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
People actually, and again, you made the point that he's out of the game. I went to the Fanatics Fest a couple of months ago with Ethan in New York, and they had a big panel with Jeter and Posada and A-Rod and CC Sabathia and Andy Pettit, I believe, was the entire panel. And again, they said this was before Jeter and A-Rod said that stuff on the national game, but they said stuff like, yeah, we had discipline. We had rules. We were expected to follow the rules. We liked that there were rules. There was, yes, George Steinbrenner was rough on us, but we knew that the focus was to win. And they said this all very positively, like this is why we won. And there was an undercurrent in there is the reason they're not winning is it's not happening. And it's just the point is, like we keep hearing this over and over again, all sorts of different ways from all sorts of different people that were involved in the organization. Now, you again make the point that most of this is all old. Like we don't know what's happening in 2025 because all these things they're talking about were the Yankees a number of years ago. So, which is also a fair point.
Yeah. I still think there's something wrong with the organization. I think that my like the thing I've been kind of focusing on lately, which I think is the one thing they haven't changed, is their kind of advanced scouting, preparation, like the support staff for the major league coaching. And we talked about this on the Bronx Beat podcast yesterday. Like it's such a stale front office in that way, and it's a lot of guys who started with the Yankees. They were minor leaguers with the Yankees. They go into scouting after they become major leaguers, and then 10 years later they're a vice president or something. And to me, like it is insane that the New York Yankees, with all their money in the world, can't go and get pay double whatever the Guardians or Rays or Brewers or even like the Astros or whatever are paying people who are really good at this side of this part of the game, and I think they've gone lapped really. So I mean I want to belittle the points we talked about last week. It's the Yankees are winning today, so it'd be a little positive, but just watching them lose the three out of 4 against the Red Sox, it just really felt like they were outclassed by the Red Sox in a lot of ways. And you look at all these young players for the Red Sox who came up and are producing. And you kind of have to ask, like, I don't expect every prospect to produce, but sure doesn't feel like you're getting a lot of progression out of Volpe, Wells, and Dominguez. Really talented players who I think have kind of hit a brick wall in the majors.
Fair point. So before we get into those guys, because I do want to talk about Volpe and Wells specifically.
And Wells might have a real injury, like a scary injury that might be the answer here. So, and we shouldn't discount Ben Rice, who is progressing and
hit another home run tonight.
And he's just pounding the ball, right? But Ben Rice might be like a top 10 hitter in the majors right now. It's incredible.
I'm reading a lot of people are doing a lot of analysis, and they're saying for the Yankees to win, to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win 90 games. Now, I don't know where that's coming from, because
that's not what the playoff line is going to be right now.
Yeah,
90 games is the first wild card at the moment. I mean, it's right now I think they're projected to win 88 by Fangraphs, and that's like a 95% chance of making the playoffs.
Correct, because right now, as bad as they've played, they are 3.5 games up on the next team in the playoff picture, which is the Kansas City Royals. Now, the Royals have only 67 wins. They're 67-64. That's not a 90-win team. And after the Royals, the team that's a game and a half behind them is the Rangers, who have 66 wins. They're 66-66.
Now, I think the AL playoff picture is very boring right now.
Yeah, because the Rangers, they're going to be an 81-win team, and after that's the Guardians, who are under 500.
Yeah, like
so
the order is
going to
make the playoffs. Like the AL West and might be Mariners, Astros. The Yankees and Red Sox are going to be battling for first and second. But maybe that third spot, like the Royals, can get hot and take it. But the AL playoff picture is basically locked, and that it's kind of boring in a way, but also as a Yankee fan, I'm happy that if they can figure out their problems in September, they'll at least they haven't dug themselves a hole they can't get out of.
That's correct. They only have to play mediocre baseball, because they just have to be better than the Royals. And the Royals are, as I said, they're 1 game over 500. Well, a couple, actually, 67-64. I was thinking that the Rangers had 66 losses, but they're 3 games over 500. They're playing 5-11 baseball.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to do, right? Like this is a talented team. They are more talented than the Royals, even with injuries, even with some players, performing a little worse than we'd like them to. I mean, the Yankees are running out 5, 6, 7 guys with an 800 OPS every night. They are, they have what looks like maybe 3. We'll see how Max Fried does in his next start, but what looks like 3 starting pitchers who are really good, and maybe a 4th. They have a bullpen that's kind of figuring itself out. Like the Royals have Bobby Witt Jr. and not a lot else. And I mean, how you want to talk about injuries? I mean, the Royals they lost Cole Reagans this year. They lost a lot of guys this year. And so, like, I'm not really all that worried about. I'm not even looking at that part of the standings. I'm looking at, can the Yankees catch the Blue Jays? It's going to be really tough at this point. Can they get the first wild card so they're a home team in a series against the Red Sox, in a 3-game series against the Red Sox? That's really important to me.
Correct. So if the Yankees become the last team or the second to last team in the wild card, is that something to celebrate? Do we say, yeah, they did it? Or?
No. I mean, look, if they win, if they limp into the playoffs and then lose in the wild card series or something. Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron Boone gets fired in that case. I think that if the Yankees have a really strong September, we can talk about their schedule coming up. And they
the
win
last
90
half
games.
of the schedule is laughable.
It's a but they also have a 2-week gauntlet before that. So I think I think that, if they manage to finish strong, not just against the bad teams, but also against some good teams, they haven't won a series against a good team in 2 months, right? I forget when the last time it's been. It's certainly before the trade deadline. So if they can beat that gauntlet after this easy week and, win more than half of those games, I think that I think that then you go into the playoffs, you go, okay, well, the AL's weak, let's go. Right. If you win 86 games and, barely barely edge out the Royals by a game and a half for the third wild card. And then you got to play, the division leader, in the first 3-game series. I don't know. To me, at that point, it becomes, it becomes a failed season.
But in your world, Brian Cashman would come back?
I think so. I think if you told me Brian Cashman is going to say, we don't need to make any changes. I like the front office that I have, they're all going to come back. Then I'd say fire him. Right. But Brian Cashman has made significant changes in the past. And I think that if he's willing to basically kind of, fire a bunch of people, right? If he's willing to say this isn't working, let's bring in some people who are good at this. Then maybe, yeah. And my problem is this, I don't think it's going to happen, right? I feel pretty confident that most of the Yankees front office is going to be the same regardless of the outcome for this year, because they were the same after 2023, right? They were the same after, some of the really disappointing seasons, before that, 22, 21, 18, right? This has been stability. And I think misplaced stability. But I do think Brian Cashman's capable of it. I just think that he's very comfortable with the people around him. It's a very insular Yankee front office. There was a story, what it was, a year ago, 2 years ago, where the Yankees were going to be audited or something like that, by some third party, smart baseball consulting group or something. I don't know, some consulting group had built a baseball division that was well regarded. That never happened. But the idea behind that was that the Yankees would learn about what other teams are doing, because the Yankees don't have any people from other teams. And to me, the way to fix that is to hire someone to run your baseball operations department from another team, who would then hire a bunch of other people from other teams and do things the way that the best teams in the baseball do it. I do think that Brian Cashman is good at deal making. I think we saw that at the trade deadline. I think we saw it during the offseason. The Juan Soto trade was a good trade. I think that the Yankees are lucky to have that. I mean, you look at their big money teams right now that aren't performing, and the Yankees have at least always put a competitive team on the field, a team that you wonder if they could be in the playoffs every year. That's not true of every team. And they've avoided a lot of the really big pitfalls, the really nasty albatross contracts that could have, made it really hard to compete for a while. So Cashman has his pluses. But then you have to ask, all the stuff that I'm complaining about, I mean, is that ultimately just an extension of Cashman? Mm-hmm. And then you go, okay, then you can replace him, right? I think, if Dave Stearns was available, I think Dave Stearns was the guy. He's with the Mets, frankly, not having a great season. So, how smart am I there? I don't know. But there's some other real executives out there that I think you could give a try.
Yeah. And I think there's something about leadership needing to change every decade or so. And Cashman's been there for more than 2 decades. It's going to be 3 decades in a couple of years. I think you said something, they're very comfortable with who he has and who's in what position. And sometimes when we're really comfortable, we don't get the best out of people. And if everybody knows, no matter what happens, we're going to win 83 to 89 games. We'll sneak into the playoffs. We can say we're better than 500. We kept it going. And there is no urgency. It becomes...
let me
harder to say.
I don't like what that characterization, right? Because I don't think the problem is that the Yankees are building mediocre rosters. I think the problem is, well, I mean, sometimes they are like there are years where they've built rosters with like real serious weaknesses, but I think the bigger problem is that the players they have perform less than the sum of their parts, less than they should. Right. So I think that's why I like Cashman. I think Cashman's good at getting good players, but I think that once they show up here, with some significant exceptions, Jazz Chisholm, for instance, I think that they underperform. Right? They're worse than they were with other clubs, or worse than they will be if they go on to other clubs. And again, there are exceptions to that. Judge is having his career. Juan Soto had his best season ever with the Yankees. Like there are places you can point to, but on the whole, the team always seems to be worse than the players on the roster.
Interesting point. But if Brian Cashman's the man responsible for bringing in the people who are in the positions to not get the most out of those players, then you have to say that he's part of the problem, no?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem is like separating Brian Cashman from the people Brian Cashman hires, right? Ultimately, he is the person in charge of everything. Mm-hmm. And so any failure in the organization is his fault. But he's also a human being capable of change. And I think that if he wanted to change, I think that you could build a great organization with Brian Cashman making personnel decisions and then some talented people underneath him running a baseball operations department. I think the baseball operations department, the problem is just, again, it's stale, right? It's
right. Well, that's my point about when you're so comfortable.
It's hard to separate those two factors, right? I agree. Mm-hmm. By the way, Yankees are now up 10-0. Looks like we have a Jason Dominguez home run. There we go. 3-run home run from Jason Dominguez. Good for him.
That has been the first time in a long time. So
yeah, he has like one extra base hit in like a month or something, right? Yeah.
All right, let's keep the good vibes going. Let's keep that moving here. I'm going to put up this here. Positive talk only today. It says positive talk only today. All right, so we'll save the Volpe stuff. Maybe we'll break the positive talk, but we're going to stay positive here. Cam Schlittler. Tonight, he went 6 innings. He allowed only 4 hits. I'm pulling up his numbers right now. No runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. This is his second really good start in a row, right? The last time out, he took a perfect game into the 7th inning.
Yep.
I mean, this is – and listen, I get it. I get it. He's not playing against the Red Sox and the Astros and whomever, but you still have to beat the teams you're pitching against. And other Yankee pitchers haven't been this good, and other pitchers haven't been this good. I mean, he is pitching.
Throw 98, right? There's it's not, I forget when I wrote up a blog post like 2 or 3 weeks before he was called up, basically saying, hey, the Yankees should call him up.
Yes, you did.
And my argument was basically like, it's not rocket science, right? Like the dude is killing it in the minors. He's 6'6". He throws 98. Like, just do it, right? Like that's an easy call. And he had some growing pains coming into the majors. And now you look up, his ERA is under 3. His xERA after this start's going to be around 3.5, probably. Really good. Strikeout rate is pretty good. He's getting his control underway. He's starting to go deeper into games. We shouldn't be surprised. He's a starter, a 6'6" starter throwing 98, right? And he looks like that right now. I was really impressed by the start tonight. I mean, you're right. It's not a great team. But like he was spotting pitches. Like he threw a couple of curveballs on the corner that were like I forget at one point, I think Paul O'Neill was like, dude, if he does that a couple more times, like you're in for a night.
One of the players took a called strike 3 and went, wow.
Yeah. And again, you throw 98 and you can dot a curveball like that's fun. I think he's easily my number 3 starter in the playoffs. If Max Fried doesn't turn around, he's my number 2 starter, but maybe Fried has a good start against the Red Sox, which is a very good offense. So maybe Fried will figure it out. But like, yeah, I tell you, like, I mean, best news of the season, it's either Ben Rice or Cam Schlittler. I mean, if you have another young starter that you can rely on for big innings, I mean, like Luis Gil, he won Rookie of the Year, but I don't think anyone was comfortable with Gil. And I think Heel still might be a good major league starter, but because his control was so bad, because he had such a short track record in the minors, he had the injury history, you go like, this guy's a lottery ticket. You think about how like Lance McCullers Jr. is for the Astros, guy who, when he's on the field has always been pretty good, but like has had trouble staying on the field. It's just not like, he's not a reliable pitcher. And Heel just always gave you that vibe, even though, again, he won the Rookie of the Year award. And at points last season looked like one of the best, looked like Camp Schlittler, right? Was throwing 98 with killer stuff. Schlittler, I just don't have that feeling about. Like you watch him, you're like, oh, this guy just looks like Garrett Cole.
I said the same thing. He looks like Garrett Cole.
Big, strong dude with the hair coming out the back of his hat. I mean, Cole is a different delivery, but still, just like him staying on the mound, you go like, oh yeah. And again, Heel just never gave you that confidence, never gave you that feeling. Whereas like Schlittler, I have no, and other than standard pitcher stuff like injuries, like I have complete confidence that he's at least going to be a pretty good major league starter. In the way that I don't have with Will Warren. Will Warren, who has pretty good stuff, but has flashy good stuff. Not even flashy. I don't know. Like he's got like a sweeper that moves a ton. Like a cutter that moves a ton. Like that's. I feel like that's the kind of stuff that good major league hitters can lay off of, and I think he gets into trouble when players just don't want to swing at his breaking stuff. Whereas Schlitter, he just throws 98, right? Like it's just like, okay, like he doesn't need to dot 98 on the corner. I think I saw a stat, he's the hardest throwing starter in the majors right now.
And it's amazing. And it doesn't, some of these guys, they have such an awkward delivery.
He looks very clean. Like Garrett. I mean, it doesn't look like Garrett Cole's delivery, but reminds you of Garrett Cole in how clean it looks.
Yes. Yeah. So do you think Clark Schmidt is able to come back next year, say at the All-Star break or August?
And Cole should be back in mid to late May. All
right. So that's 7 starters. You've got
we said that this year, didn't we? Huh?
Yeah, but all right. Hoping everything goes well. You got Cole Schmidt. Let's August 1st next year. You have Cole Schmidt, Schlittler, Heel, Warren, Fried, and Rodon. I mean, listen, we've been down on the Yankees. I've been down on the Yankees, obviously, but it seems like they're setting themselves up. Injuries happen, but they seem like they're setting themselves up for one heck of a starting rotation next year.
I mean, and then depth wise, they'll be even better. So I'm trying to bring up their what their AAA pitching staff is going to be next year. But they're going to have Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who I think is the breakout pitching prospect maybe the breakout prospect this year for the Yankees. He's 22 years old and is having an incredible season. He's going to be at AAA. Carlos LaGrange and Ben Hess will probably start at AA because they're a little further away. LaGrange still has some control problems. LaGrange might have the best stuff in professional baseball right now. He's the lefty, the 6'7" lefty who throws 102, and just has control issues. But like solvable control issues. He has at times had good control, at times had very bad control. Like Brian Cunningham is going to be at AA. Kyle Carr is going to be at AA. You got a couple of guys who are just promoted to AAA. Like this is they have some real pitching depth. And it's going to be a weird offseason because you're right. Their pitching staff is set for next year. Maybe not their bullpen, but they trade for a bunch of guys who have at least one more year of control. And their lineup is basically set for next year too, other than, Cody Bellinger, Trent Grisham.
And shortstop.
And whatever they do. I mean, Caballero could be your shortstop. He's around for a while too. So there's some tweaks to do on the roster, but this is not going to be a huge offseason for the Yankees.
Who is the number one free agent?
Kyle Tucker, who has had a bad second half, and it turns out he's playing with a broken hand. Which is,
I still don't want him because I think he's going to be one of these guys that's commanding huge money, and who's not a huge money type of guy.
I wonder if the bad season will help that a little bit, though. I mean, he has got such an easy explanation for why he's been bad. Like before he broke his hand, he was one of the best hitters in baseball. And then he broke his hand and he's been awful because he's playing with a broken hand. I frankly, if I were a free agent, I'd say, give me the surgery, right? Like I don't want my numbers to go down. So give me the surgery and I'll come back in September or something and try to help you win. But yeah, and I think Kyle Tucker is one of the big ones. Cody Bellinger is going to be a really big free agent, though I think not massive dollars. I think he's going to be, he's going to get a big contract and maybe with the Yankees. So it's a very different market than last year or the years before. And the other thing hanging over all of this is that there could be a strike or lockout the year after. And so I don't know how that changes the free. We'll talk about it, I guess. But I guess I don't know how that changes the free agent market.
Yeah, I think it changed. Yeah, because if you don't know what you're doing, of the 7 starters we talked about, if you had to make, assuming they all come back and healthy and are effective, I think that's one of the other things that fans do sometimes is you say, oh, Garrett Cole's coming back next year. He'll be back in June or late May or whatever. And he'll be Garrett Cole. He'll be the guy that went 25-4 or whatever. Like he's going to be a superstar and he's going to
be 35 years old.
That's correct. Coming off a year where he didn't pitch, coming back from an injury, they usually don't necessarily bounce back and have great years. Like even the Verlanders and the Scherzers, it usually took a year or two.
I mean, Verlander came back and won the Cy Young. So,
but it didn't take him a year or two. It wasn't super.
I forget.
Duper.
It was a different timing of an injury, I think. So I think he started that year healthy. His like due date was like before spring training. So I think he was okay. But like point taken. Yeah. Like I mean, the depth is good, and that's why I don't think the Yankees are going to like trade from it or something. I think they're going to pretty much kind of roll out a bunch of depth and try to.
I'd keep all 7. So my question to you is, out of those guys, assuming they're all healthy and assuming they're pitching well, which 2 do you make relief pitchers? Which 2 do you send to the bullpen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Schmidt, I think is the first answer. We've always speculated that Schmidt would look good in the bullpen, and I don't know. Assuming they're all pitching well is the problem here, because they won't all be pitching well. So like, do I think Rodon is going to keep going? I don't know. He's been pretty consistent this year, but I also just don't have a lot of faith in him. I know Fried is a lock. I know if Cole's healthy, he's not going to the pen. I know. Let's just say Rodon's a lock. So he's got the big contract. Man, I mean, Warren is an easy one to go to the pen or trade. Yeah, Schlittler, I don't really want to see him go to the pen.
No.
Yeah, I think you got a big young starter. You pitch him like a starter.
You pitch him like a starter.
I think Schmidt's the expendable one.
Made with Jabba all those years ago.
I'm not clear that they're offering Schmidt a contract this offseason. He's like an arbitration 3 player, so he's going to get paid like $8 million or something. He says he'll be back. He had the internal brace surgery, and so hopefully that's a quicker rehab. But you're still talking about June. If the budget's tight, I worry the Yankees are going to try to get into the luxury tax this offseason because it's doable without completely hamstringing the team. Schmidt's kind of an easy one to trade or to not offer a contract or to trade or something like that. I hope they don't do that because I want them to go for it. But I think that's a possibility.
All right. Just to give you the Justin Verlander stats, in 2020, he pitched all of 6 innings.
Oh, okay. So 2020 was weird. Okay. Yeah.
2021, he did not play. He was injured. And I said, sometimes pitchers don't bounce back so great. And you would expect, fans expect them to, and it doesn't always work out that way. And you brought up Verlander. Well, you were right. In 2022, he went 18-4.
Yeah. And he got injured in like September of 2020 or something. Yeah.
And he won the Cy Young Award. He had a 2.18 ERA plus.
I mean, look, if you look at Verlander's stats in his late 30s, like that's your best hope for Garrett Cole.
Correct.
Right? That's what you want Garrett Cole to be. Look, he's not as good as Verlander, but he's in there. He's up there. I think if I'm Garrett Cole, I'm thinking legacy, right? I'm thinking, what's my place in Yankee history? I'm going to be remembered as a guy who never won the World Series. I'm thinking Hall of Fame. Like, he's still got plenty of time to rack up some wins, but some wins above average. But He's going to be 35. He's at 43 wins. He needs to be productive to make the Hall of Fame. It's not like CC Sabathia, who by this time, when he was kind of a diminished pitcher, he was already in the Hall of Fame, and it was just kind of playing out his career. So I have confidence in Cole. Frankly, I think that Garrett Cole is a pretty good player, and even when we saw kind of the slightly diminished version of Cole in 2024, I thought it was really good. So
he doesn't have to be your number one. He could be your number three.
I mean, if you have a top five of Fried, Cole, Rodon, Schlittler, and
one of the other three, maybe Heel,
Schmidt. Yeah, Heel. I guess I forgot about Heel. Heel's a good bullpen guy candidate. Heel always has like Dylan Betances vibes for me, right? Like bad control and just like unhittable stuff. And like that was Dylan Betances, right? Dylan Betances was the most dominant relief pitcher I've ever seen in my life. And like Heel has the potential to be that same guy, and maybe they end up converting him or trading him or something. You're right that there could be a squeeze. Now that squeeze isn't going to come till mid-season, right? They have 5 starters to start the season right now. We know who those 5 are, right? Warren, Schmidt, Schlittler, Rodon, Fried, and Heel. So if they add nobody, that's their starting 5, and then they hope to get Cole and Schmidt, and then they have all those depth guys I talked about. You could very easily imagine that they will have injuries before Schmidt or Cole get back. And so I think this is one of those problems that solves themselves. I think it's different from the problem they had going into this year when they had a bunch of healthy guys at one point, and it looked like they had like 7 starters for 5 spots. I just don't think that's that's not the situation they're looking at next year is just very different from that.
Framber Valdez, age 32.
Yeah, pretty good free agent.
He will be a free agent. But if you get him, where do you put him?
No, you don't. Not only that, like I don't want to devote more money to pitching, like long-term money to pitching. You have Rodon, Fried, and Cole signed for a very long time.
Yeah, Cease is out there, Michael King, but he's been hurt a lot.
Yeah, you could imagine them bringing in someone like King as like as like a cheaper contract, but like I just don't. I don't think that's where I'd want them to spend their money, right? I want them to maybe improve at shortstop, maybe improve in center field. I assume Ben Rice is your first baseman next year, but if not, you got to kind of figure that out. Maybe you start like extending some guys. I'm not thinking about the offseason right now. But you look at some of the guys that they have, do you want to sign Jazz to a long-term contract? If you do, you save on the average annual value by signing him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to get paid like what, $12, $15 million, and if he's going to get paid $30 million a year after that or something, it makes sense to sign him a little earlier. You have, some of those relief pitchers, maybe you want to sign them, lock them up for a long time. I think that, I think you might see an off season more like that, but we still have a season to play. The Yankees are not out. They could very well, get into the postseason and do well. So I think the lesson of the 2025 season is that everybody is mediocre, which means that someone's got to win the World Series.
Yes.
And other than the Brewers, like no one's really playing in the top of their game right now.
So if you could go, this is our Tuesday discussion question on start spreading the news. And I think the way the answers are coming back.
It's actually a hard one.
Because there's actually a couple of really good answers. If you could take one guy, Magic Genie comes and he says, EJ, I'm going to let you take one guy from the 98, 99, or 2000 Yankees and put him on this team right now for the stretch run to help you guys win the World Series this year. But you can only get one guy. Who do you take?
I mean, like the obvious answer is like 99 Jeter, right? His best season. You're upgrading shortstop. It's Derek Jeter. You have your leadoff hitter. You have your leadoff. Like you have your best player, right? Like it's him and Judge, but like Judge, Jeter's got the playoff thing. Like that's the easy answer. It's also the boring answer. I just don't want to make it right. So then it would be kind of fun in the post game interviews. They could talk to Judge and Jeter at the same time. And how do you feel? It's really two captains, right? So I don't want to give that one because it's a boring answer. And so you go, okay, so who are your other options? Well, Rivera is the next obvious option. And it's another boring answer, right? Yeah, sure. Give me Mariano Rivera, right? But who do you take? I mean, that's a great question. The Yankees need a stopper. They need somebody to end the game. So
Nobody's been doing it. Devin Williams.
I don't take
doing
O'Neill or Williams, right? Because I don't need O'Neill and Williams.
Bednar, yeah. So it's tough call,
right? So like Rivera is like the greatest reliever of all time, right? Like so like okay, do I take the greatest reliever of all time in his prime?
Do I take the great shortstop because we
the greatest shortstop in Yankee history? Do I take Jorge Posada, young Posada, and well 2000 I guess he's not young. Do I take a starter? Right? Do I take Cone in 98? Do I take Wells? Do I take Roger Clemens in 2000?
If you got Posada, you could put Ben Rice at first.
Right. I mean, you take Posada, you put Rice at first. Yeah. I mean, obviously the answer is like the answer is Jeter. And then the question is just like, who else would you take? Like, would you take Pettit, as your new number one starter? Would you take, I'm trying to think of like the weird answers that might make a little bit of sense. So you take Tino, right, at first base, maybe. And they're a left-handed hitter. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good question. Those are good teams, right? Those
Chuck
are pretty stacked teams.
Second base.
Yeah. I mean, 98 Chuck Knobloch's pretty good. You don't need a second baseman. I think that the fun part of this exercise is to think about just how deep those teams were and how different this team is than that team, than that team. Like the Yankees have some really good, like, Aaron Judge is better than any player in any of those teams. But you also, then you just look at, there's, I think, okay, here's a better question. I'm going to be your editor.
Too late.
other than Aaron Judge, which players on the current team make the 98 Yankees?
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Right.
Well, Tino could, because they need a first baseman.
Okay. Well, no. Which 2025 Yankees make the 98 Yankees? Judge makes it. Right. Judge pushes O'Neill out of the way, right? But who else makes that team? Right. So let's go around the diamond. Right?
Yeah, let's go.
First base. I don't think Ben Rice beats Tino
or Paul Goldschmidt. You're not going to replace him,
right? I don't think Knobloch. Maybe Jazz for Knobloch.
I don't think so, because Knobloch was really at the top of his game.
I mean, Knobloch was an on-base machine in 98.
Yes.
Right? Now,
Jazz is not.
I think that Jazz makes the 99 2000 teams, right? Not the 98 Yankees.
Well, Knobloch was moved to left field at the end.
Right, because he couldn't throw, right? Like, so like, I think that Jazz makes the later teams, but not, like, I don't know who's playing second base in 98, 99. Soriano shows up eventually. I don't think that, I think, especially 98, Scott Brocious is your third baseman over McMahon. Jeter, obviously. 98 Yankees catcher
is Girardi?
I guess it's Posada and Girardi. But I don't think there's, I mean, does Rice beat Posada? I don't think so. I think Posada's a better catcher than Rice is a catcher.
And Posada's a switch hitter, and the Yankees would a switch hitter who can hit both sides too.
I don't think Bellinger displaces Williams. Grisham probably displaces Chad Curtis. That's an easy one.
In left field.
Yeah. So Chad, one of the outfielders displaces Chad Curtis. Giancarlo Stanton probably at this point displaces Darryl Strawberry and all the guys they had at DH, Tim Raines and all those guys. So, there are a couple of those players make it, in the rotation. Wow. In the rotation, does anybody make this rotation? I guess Rabu goes, but the playoff rotation, I don't think you crack. And, there may be a couple of relievers there, but no one is anywhere close to Rivera, Mendoza, Mike Stanton, Jeff Nelson. Yeah. That's, it tells you how good those teams were. I'd love to do the exercise at some point with some other Yankee teams. Because I actually think that this team's position player crop is pretty good, right? And would displace a lot of players in a lot of those teams. For example, this rotation is better than anything the Yankees had in the 2000s, until 2009 at least. There's some this team does look like I still think this is an incredibly talented team that's just not playing well.
I'm going to add something to you here. Torrey trumps Boone, Zimmer, Chambliss, Stottlemyre, Randolph, Jose Cardinal.
That's a great coaching staff. Absolutely. Yeah. And Torrey eventually loses his fastball as a coach, but not in the 90s.
No, not yet. One of the things that Roy White told me when we were working on his book, maybe even after, was the fact that when they worked for Joe Torre, now this is Roy White, who's been in the game for, about that point, 40, 50 years, that coaching staff, the way Joe Torre handled his coaching staff was amazing, because it was the only time he was involved with a coaching staff that everybody knew their role, accepted their role, and nobody was vying for position and trying to upstage the other guy. Person A is the pitching coach. I think it was Stottlemyre. I'd have to look this all up.
Stottlemyre the whole time, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, I'm the pitching coach. And Mattingly, I think by that point's the hitting coach, and Mattingly's the hitting coach, and Roy White's the first base coach, and I'm the first base coach. And they worked as a harmonious team. And he said he'd never seen that before or since anywhere in baseball.
I mean, it's a murderer's row of coaches.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, that coaching staff is just, and it changes a little bit over those years, but that's also a strength. That's also a strength of the leader, Mr. Torre.
Yeah, and frankly, once that coaching staff starts to kind of fizzle away, is when Torre, I think, his leadership starts to, like, his managerial success goes down, right? I mean, when you have, again, Willie Randolph as your third base coach, right? You have Roy White at first base, you said, Don Mattingly, Mel Stottlemyre, Don Zimmer, like that is just an incredible coaching staff. And a lot has to come together to have a dynasty, right? I mean, that's the last time you had consecutive World Series winners. And they did. It wasn't just the players. It wasn't just Joe Torre. It was all the above. It was real impressive.
I'm trying to see Don Zimmer's last year. I'm having to scroll through.
He was on the 03 team, because that was him and Pedro. Was he on the 04? End? I don't know if he was on. I think that was the end, because I don't think he was on the sweep 04 team. Let's see. Don Zimmer
gone.
He was gone in 04.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went to Tampa, apparently. No.
Yeah, I think he did at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think I hope the Yankees are looking for a coach this offseason. I don't think they're going to fire Boone at this point. I think you have to have a real bad end of the season for them to fire Boone. I think it's too late for them to fire Boone, and that turns into a good season. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I think 2 or 3 weeks ago they could have like it was the time to do it. I think now like he's just won some games, right? So now I think if you fire Boone, it's because you went 0 for 5 against bad teams or something, and you're out of the playoffs or you're in the third wild card.
I'll tell you when it's time to fire Boone. Might be tonight. Almost. No, the Yankees are going to win. But don't look. What's the score?
Oh my God! Wow. Whoa.
It's 10-5 in the ninth. How does that happen? You were up 10-0.
Yerry De Los Santos. Yerry De Los Santos, Aaron Boone's favorite this year, gave up a bunch of runs.
And then Leiter comes in and gives up a run. It looks like.
Yeah, Leiter's been really rough lately.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I came. It's over. 10-3, 10-5. I came on just to see that the Yankees won 10-0. All of a sudden, it's 10-5.
I mean, Leiter gave up a grand slam. That's what happened. I mean, look, it's garbage time. I don't really care, right? I actually am okay with Yerry De Los Santos giving up a bunch of runs, so you don't have to pitch anybody who you're going to miss.
Good. Right,
you're in the middle of a really long stretch of games. Like the schedule's like they're playing some bad teams, but it's brutal how few off days they have left. And so, Schlitterler going 6, and then you go De Los Santos Leiter. You don't use any of your good guys, reset the bullpen. And then if you have a close game tomorrow, you can use it. I mean, my hope is that in some of these bad series is they can get some blowouts, some long starts, and then they go into that stretch where it's the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and have a rested bullpen, because they look pretty gassed. All of them look pretty gassed right now.
They're going to be off September 1st, a Monday. They're going to be off September 8th, a Monday. They're going to be off September 22nd, a Monday. So in the month of September, they get 3 days off.
Yeah, and they have the 13th stretch going into September.
And correct, that's their next day off is September 1st.
By the way, Labor Day on the 1st. Come on, what is up with that? It's a weird Labor Day, but
it's a weird Labor. Schools are, here in New Jersey, they're all starting. I had my first day. When did your semester start?
Semester started today, and my first class is tomorrow.
Yeah, so we have convocation tomorrow. I meet my classes briefly tomorrow as a little introduction. That happens after the convocation. The freshmen get to meet their first freshman professor, their first year seminar teacher. And then my first class will be on Thursday night. So yeah, it's starting. So it's
yeah,
crazy.
I'm excited. Now, we're college professor, you're a retired teacher and part-time college professor. You think about the summer as, it is wonderful having the time off during the summer, especially with a young kid, right? But also I miss the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I miss having a weekly routine. And every summer, by the end of the summer, like I'm just dying for it to be over. Like I'm ready to go back to work. And the thing about at least for me, the semester is a sprint, right? It's just 14 weeks, just go, 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 go. And so you're tired by the end of it. You want the break, but 3 months is a long break. I could deal with like a quarter system or something like that. That would give me some shorter breaks in between because I'm ready. I'm feeling good about this.
I sent do you guys use Canvas? Is that what you use? We have Canvas.
I've used Canvas. We use Blackboard.
All right. So yeah, so it's the same difference. And you can message your students and stuff. Yep. So they've already gotten 2 messages from me. I can't wait to meet you. I'm excited for the start of the semester. We're going to do a lot of great stuff. Bring your energy and all that kind of good stuff. Now here's the difference. I only retired a couple of years ago as a principal. I never had. I had summers off the first year I taught. I had the summer off. Then I worked over my summers. I taught summer school. I worked odd jobs. I did, I worked for a car parts company, and then I became an administrator. I was administrator at 28.
Oh, one of my old teachers used to say the summer
months.
is a period of guaranteed unemployment. So you got to, especially teacher wages, you got to get a job over the summer. I agree. I think.
So I'm enjoying summer. I actually get it. It's the first time in my life I've really had summers off.
Yeah, well, I mean, now that when I was not tenured yet, my summer was like put your nose to the grindstone and work, right? Because you have to get your research out. Whereas this summer, I mean, I kept telling my co-authors I was going to make a lot of progress and stuff. I just didn't, right? And that was just the reality of having the young kid. But I've always been a workaholic. I love working, and I'm very, very excited to get back to work.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Can't wait. Looking forward to Thursday. EJ, I think we did it. I think we've covered everything. We made the positive, so we're not going to talk about Volpe. Maybe next week something changes or Caballero keeps playing. But my dear friends, this has been the Start Spreading the News Yankee program. The Yankees won tonight 10-5, and EJ and I will see you. We have to talk about that, EJ. We may have a recorded show. You want to? I can record anytime next week. Are you going to be available Monday night on Labor Day?
Yep.
I will too. Maybe we'll just go live then. We'll talk
I don't do holidays. It's good. So cool. All right.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week then. Have a great night.